Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Drama to Dharma. Thank you for joining me this evening on our weekly live show. I want to thank Debbie Garcia from Spirituality Gone Wild and all of her help that she's given me to put this show together in my Recovery View show on her platform, Spirituality Gone Wild. And I know that this is out on other platforms as well of mine. And the Tri-Angels, I told Debbie I'd mention that. I keep forgetting to mention my Tri-Angels group. And thank you for the Tri-Angels group for those of you who are there. I have a group on Facebook. If you go and request to join it, I'd love to have you. And we have discussions. We can post beautiful pictures, and my live shows are there. So I hope you can join us on the Tri-Angels group. So thank you all for coming tonight. Well, I wasn't sure what our topic was going to be this evening, and that's usually the case. And I asked the angels yesterday. My name is Josie Herndon, by the way, and this is my show that I do along with my divine guidance. I've been channeling or being, a conduit for Archangel Gabriel for many years, and I'm writing a book inspired by him. So this show is dedicated to Gabriel and the angels that are here with me, the archangels Michael, Raphael, and Uriel as well, and of course many of them. And they do address themselves as them. They're all each archangel is a different realm. It's the realm of Gabriel, the realm of Michael, and so forth. But they all, of course, work together to help us as humans with whatever it is we need. They always say, just ask them and they'll give us the answer. So I wasn't sure what to title the show yesterday. And there's so much going on. And if you've watched my past shows, they've been different topics about what's going on either in my life or currently in the world. And there's been a lot going on since I started this show 5 weeks ago. Well, so Gabriel said to call it Calm in the Eye of the Storm. Now, that would have been the furthest topic that I would have picked, quite honestly, because I'm just like in the middle of everything. So I thought, wow, that's great, the calm. So he said to be the calm, be the calm, be the love. So that's our topic tonight, how we can be the calm in what appears and feels like a storm. What I've been feeling the last week, especially, is just things whirlwinding the last couple of weeks. Things are a whirlwind, and we've talked about this in the past, where there's really no time, and there is time. So the time it's been going fast, and so it's like, what happened to that day? Well, that day, who knows? We only have right now. So the calm, he says, the way he explained it to me is that if there's a whirlwind or a tornado, right? And everybody knows a lot of these analogies about being searching for the calm in the eye of the storm. But this is what Gabriel's perspective was to me about this, is that if we can imagine ourselves, and I was imagining myself because where I live, it's very calm. So he was saying, where you are is very calm. In my world, in my home, it's calm. If I watch the news, I get anxious. If I, read the whatever. But where I am, it is calm. So if we can find that calm and know that possibly there's a storm going, and truly there is a storm on the planet right now that's happening. Things are shifting. So if you can imagine the storm whirling around, and that's what it feels like, a whirlwind. But we're in the middle of the storm, and we can be. And if we don't give any energy to the storm, he says, then the storm will dissipate. The storm will dissipate around us. Because I know that sometimes we think, okay, if we're in the eye I thought about it, if we're in the eye of the storm, that sounds wonderful. But what happens, if we have to get out, does it then eventually move on to me? Do I have to walk through it? My question was, what happens then? I mean, how long am I going to be in the eye? I thought storms moved. I started asking all these questions because it sounds great to be peaceful for a little while, but then what happens? And he said, no, don't even anticipate any of it. Just be the calm in the eye of the storm. And don't give the storm, give the storm least amount of energy as possible. And the storm will dissipate, because every storm dissipates, he says, right? A storm will pass. This too shall pass, and we'll get to the other side of it. Just as if we were in a dust storm. Also, he gave me the analogy of a dust storm. and through the desert, because I live in the desert. So if I drive from Palm Desert to Vegas, sometimes you can be caught up in a dust storm if you go the back road, and or to Arizona. And so they're called the baboos, right? Jim calls it the baboo. So that's all this dark dust, and you can only see a few feet in front of you, and you still have to drive through to the other side of it. And it does get to the end eventually. Now that's driving through the storm. That's driving through a storm, he says. And that is also what we feel at times that we're going through. But just know, even if you feel that you can't imagine to be in the middle of the eye of a calmness, but knowing possibly if you're driving through the storm, just know that it will clear. It's always going to clear. It's not forever. So then you can also just imagine getting to the calm to the other side of that line, because it only lasts for a few miles. It doesn't last forever in the desert. And then it's clear, and then you look behind you and the storm's behind you. So that's one way of also looking at it, to get to the calm, to the other side of it. And he's using this week because even weather's going to be changing on the planet. He says there's the all the things that are going on with health and the infection, the virus. I'm trying not to use any C words, he says. So, all of those things that are on the news. And of course, last week we talked about the unrest, to being your best, because there's so much unrest and that's continual. So he says, those things are going to continue. And we do want to know what's happening on our planet. So you're going to get that information, but he's encouraging us not to focus on watching the news maybe this week. If we want to be in the calm, then the calm would be to probably not watch the news this week and just see what happens. I haven't watched it for about a week, and I feel calm this week, because as I was getting prepared for this, I didn't feel anxiety. I felt calm just talking about it and not watching the news, because there's so many different things on there that are stressful to me. So I decided not to watch that, just maybe get a little bit of, news headlines if I just want to make sure that, whatever. But even the news headlines weren't, stressing me out if I just did that. So those are some ways to do it. Now that's the news. That's the big global picture of the storm. Now with that energy, there are also going to be other storms that are going to be closer to home. So there will be family things, work things, right now, jobs, different financial, health. Those are also storms that a lot of us are going through. I am personally going through many storms with my family, being, having medical things going through. But right now, and friends that are sick. So I'm just giving that to God, and I'm asking to just be, in the love and the calm during that time, and not being in the panic and the fear, because all of those things have brought anxiety to me also, and fear. So when it comes to even the storms that are in our daily lives, put those on the brakes as well, and just see if you can do some sort of a thought prayer or meditation, and whatever that would look like for you, to imagine that you're in the calm and that things will dissipate. And I practiced that since we came up with this topic. And actually, I'm okay. It's been great. I have not focused on those things. So that, again, I just wanted to open up with those messages. That's our topic. I'm hoping that we can get some questions. I also have Renee Popovitz, who I've been talking about, my friend from Chicago. She's an attorney. But on this show, I've been bringing up guests who are friends and colleagues of mine, who are, by day, we have a day job, some sort of a professional day job, or even being home, with our children, but we all have a day job, and then we do the spiritual stuff, what we call at night. But really, we've been talking about integrating all of our spiritual practices. And Gabriel says, because I call it spiritual practice, and he says, okay, practice time is over. Now it's time to just do whatever it is that we've been, quote unquote, practicing. Right now is what we've been practicing for. So, anything that we have been practicing for in our spiritual practice, right now is a time to just do it and be it and embrace it. and allow the angels to bring that forward. So Renee has been painting, and she's going to talk about her divine inspired paintings. She's going to show us 7 of them. And she also plays beautiful music on the piano. So she's going to play a song for us on the piano. We're going to attempt all this with an iPad as we're doing everything, technical. So she's going to play a song called In the Calm. And then she's going to share with us 7 of, I think almost, she has 300 that she'll explain to us how they all came about, how many paintings she's had. I think close to 300 that she's divinely inspired, through inspiration, through divine inspiration, has painted watercolors. And so she has 7 of them she's going to share with us, give us a little bit of story behind that. And we're looking forward to bringing Renee on in a few minutes. So thank you, Renee, for being here. Before I go too far, I want to thank our sponsor, who is Advanced Therapeutic Services, and that's our treatment center that my husband Jim and I started almost 8 years ago in Rancho Mirage, California. So they pay for all my little things that I do, and so I just want to thank Advanced Therapeutic Services, ATS, IOP. We're a treatment center for addiction and mental health, and we treat adolescents and adults. So if you have any needs regarding mental health or addiction, we are here to help you. If you're local in our community, or if you would come and stay at a sober living and be in our treatment center, or we have referrals nationwide that we can give you as well. So just, you can always call us. I've been doing this work for 30 years, and I have a large database, so I know of a lot of different programs around the country and resources. So if anybody's struggling right now with addiction or mental illness, depression, anxiety, fear, any of those things, and they feel like they're gripping you, then please call our number and we'll help you get through that or give you a referral to that. We also do telehealth. So we could technically help you the way we're doing the show. We could actually do that as a session with a therapist. So that's pretty good too. So we're there for you guys. So let's see here. I just want to thank those in the green room, my friends who are here. We have Jerry Davis, who comes in from Memphis, and my husband Jim. I can't really see everybody. Chris is here. Oh, Carly's here. We love Carly. And of course, Renee and Debbie. And I know there are those of you who are out in Facebook and YouTube. I can't see you, but I love you. And I just want to thank you for supporting the show. And with that, I want to answer any questions. And my prayer is that whatever our topic is, that this will inspire you and this will touch your heart and your spirit to help you through the week, because these messages from the angels are very sacred. And I feel honored that I'm able to do this, this gift, if you will. They say it's not a gift because we all have it. So I encourage everybody to do it, to do what they're inspired to do and to follow their intuition. But this is me following my intuition for many years, saying yes to God, saying yes to the angels, and allowing the messages to come through me in different ways, writing and speaking and so forth. So let's see here. I'm going to look at some of these questions. Oh, good. Oh, Jerry, thank you. Powerful and great advice. Carly's saying, yes, our Lord helps us as we walk through all of our hills and valleys. We can be calm because we are not walking through the valleys alone. That's true. They're always there with us. Again, I mentioned that in the beginning. If you have, whatever your beliefs are, through prayer and meditation, and you ask God, you ask the angels, they will give you the answers. So we just have to ask, otherwise they won't know what to do. Okay, Deborah Sharp. Hi, Deborah. It says, when I'm in a storm, I ask God, please lead me through and give me strength. And I thank you for that, God. That's wonderful. Exactly. That's what we're talking about. Just keep walking through. The messages I'm getting is to focus on now and walking through the storm. They're saying, don't look behind. It's almost like Sodom and Gomorrah if we look behind, if you're familiar with the Bible stories. But, it's just, whenever we look behind right now, it's not going to work for us if we start trying to bring the past into the present and our old beliefs. So if it's not working when you're looking behind and you feel that anxiety even more, or depression or guilt or fear, any of those lower vibration, then just snap, go, okay, we're going to keep walking forward. We're focusing on now and we're just going to keep walking forward. There's only one way to go, and stay in your lane. They say, just stay in your lane, keep moving forward with what it is, and we will be right there with whatever our goals are, whatever it is where we're trying to go. That, you know, at that moment, just keep going. We'll make it. We look behind, and really, it's like I feel that we'll be pulled even further behind, and that's where we can get into a depression and a rut. But you know, if you do that, no judgment, just move forward. Just say, okay, stay in my lane, go forward. You know, because I do that all the time. I'm like, oh, you know, I catch myself thinking, you know, and then they're like, nope, keep going. That's fine. You're human. Of course, you're going to do that. We're human on this planet. That's our world. That's our life. Everything in the past, right? That's who we are. That's why we're, you know. And so they're saying, just kind of let that go, bless and release it, but keep moving forward. Keep moving forward with the healings. Keep, you know, if you're ill, with just knowing that you're healed, you know, believe it, have faith in it. If you know you have a project you're not sure about at work, just go for it, do it. Just, you know, and if it doesn't work, okay, that didn't work. Let's go with the next one. So whatever it is, if you're feeling the need to get involved, we talked about this a little bit last week, get involved and do something for the planet right now while things are, you know, kind of a disarray, then the best thing to do is just, you know, in your prayer meditation, pray for and give light to that issue, whatever it is. Send light to each other, give love, be the love. Be the calm, and everybody else, you know, they will feel your love, and they will feel your calm, and then it'll be contagious, and you'll spread it out. So you don't even have to say words about any of it, because as a matter of fact, sometimes words don't work. It makes it a little, you know, people might take it the wrong way, especially if you're texting or emailing. You know, you can't really feel the energy of the words. So if you're not sure, just send love and send, you know, calm messages, or say nothing at all. It's very important right now that we watch our words. Words are very powerful. The words that we think are powerful, but once we say them, then it gives more power. Once we write them, then it's eternal. That's what Gabriel says. You know, we write it down, it's there. It's you know, it has DNA, it has life. So best to keep most thoughts to yourself. You know, and thoughts, they, you know, Gabriel always says those are just the abyss of our soul. That's, you know, nobody has, that's just what we do. That's our chalkboard. So, you know, of course, we're going to want to have the best thoughts, but if we have thoughts, you know, that we're not sure about, we don't want to say it for sure, and we don't want to write it. So it's a good time to reflect before we speak, he says. To just be very mindful and be very careful of the words that we say, because the words that we say are going to be heard, and they're going to be heard deeply by each other right now, because we're all very sensitive as humans right now. We're all very sensitive. So just, you know, give more energy rather than taking it. If you give words that aren't positive, then you actually will take energy away from somebody. Could be, and you've all probably felt that before. So let's see here. Oh, Tammy Vogel. Hi, Tammy. Thank you. Let's see. I'm having a lot of problems with my significant other. It seems he's been going through a lot, and I'm trying to leave him alone and let him go through it himself, but he's having such a hard time. Yeah, I understand that. And, you know, really the best thing to do is your intuition is spot on that he needs to go through this alone, because I keep getting that as well, that we all have to go through our journeys right now alone. And that's for him to get through to the other side, because sometimes we want to help people when we see them struggling and do something to help them, but really we're hindering their growth. So they're not even able to get to the other side of their storm if we hold them back and we try to help them do things. So not to say that we're not going to, you know, you'll be there as a supportive partner, and just, you know, give loving words, be the love, be the calm with him, and let him, you know, figure out what's going on. If he needs help, he'll ask you. If he doesn't, then allow him. You're honoring him when you allow him to go through this alone. You're allowing him to grow and to be who he is, and to feel those feelings and to get rid of them. these might be things that are held deep within his spirit, within his soul, that he needs to let loose and get out of there. So they're holding him back. So this is, you can sit there and just be very supportive, loving, making meals, let's go for a walk, things like that, and just so that he feels your love, he'll feel your loving energy, and then he'll feel safe to just go through whatever it is he's going to go through. So I hope that works. And I hope I take my own advice, because I know that was inspired by Gabriel. I'm like notoriously get overly involved. So that was a good one for me. Thank you for the question. Okay, so now let's see, it's 7:20. I would love to bring up Renee, and so she can share with us her beautiful music and her divine art, and she'll be with us for 10, 15 minutes. Come on up, Renee. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for joining us all the way from Chicago. What time is it there right now?
It's 9:21.
Thank you for staying up past your bedtime to be with us. I know it's a little late.
It's
Oh,
a pleasure to be with you.
oh, thank you. So Renee, before we get started with sharing, your beautiful gifts, can you tell us a little bit about? I just wanted to start with that way they get a sense of who you are, and then I think that'll really, the music will touch them that much more, and the art. If you can tell us a little bit about how many paintings you've painted and how they come through divinely.
Sure. Um, to date, I've painted 270 paintings.
Right.
My last one I just finished on May 31st. I haven't picked up a paintbrush in the last 11 days. There's been a lot coming at me, but I haven't painted yet. So I'm thinking about some things. So there'll probably be some paintings this weekend. The way that I decide on a painting, it's very interesting. I get just kind of intuitive messages where it might be a song that I hear. Um, like, for example, the song from Carousel, "You'll Never Walk Alone." And when you
Mm-hmm.
talk about walking through a storm, that's like the perfect song. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high, and that particular song I actually heard in a dream, and I saw these little children walking up an aisle, and so in that dream, and so I wound up painting that image of of one of those children in a painting, and
Mm.
it was based on that song that I heard. And so sometimes it's a song in my head, sometimes it's a dream, sometimes it's a picture that I see in a magazine where I see someone's face, and it's their eyes that I see, and there's something about their eyes that draw me to their soul, and then around those eyes I might um, make an entire person or a master or an angel that I see. Sometimes it just creates a whole new landscape, where it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I know
it's
from my
just
experience being around you, and we've done a lot of things together, and we've traveled together where Renee will paint, and then I'll write, and this gives us a weekend to just do, to support each other in our divine projects, if you will, right? And to really talk about spirituality and angels and just be ourselves. And you've shared some of your paintings with me, or you'll be painting, and then I'll remember, we'll go for a walk, someplace in Mexico, someplace, and then I'll say, wow, was it, you already painted that? I mean, that's
yeah.
almost on every trip I've seen a place, or we'll notice a place that we pass on our walk, and that's one of your paintings from maybe several months ago. And
Right.
I always love that. That's just, that always amazes me, because it's like, who knows where that, and then sometimes that happens too. And that's kind of fun. So you paint things
That
that
happens quite a
actually
bit.
happen later. And that's kind of nice.
It's fun to see that. It's fun to paint. We did that where I painted this image of a winter scene in October, and all of a sudden I named it the Oregon Vortex. I had no idea what it was, And then 10 months later, I didn't even know that you had a home in Seaside, Oregon. And we stayed up there. And when we went on a helicopter ride, we went over this place and I took a picture, and it was exactly the painting that I painted.
I remember that.
It was 10 months before.
Right.
And I had no idea. And it is interesting. It's like I get visions of things before they happen.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to have that foresight, and then sometimes the paintings have different meanings down the road.
Mm-hmm.
It could mean one thing one day, and it could mean another thing another day.
Right.
So
and still it could mean things. Some of the ones that maybe you're going to share with us tonight, I think you said they were divinely chosen. So we're excited to see those. And, they may be something that somebody else is familiar with in the audience, or,
Right.
has relevance to the show tonight. So that's kind of exciting as well, because we're inviting the angels in, to our show. And we've invited that you asked earlier, which pictures you should, which paintings to show. And so now, and you even told me earlier when we were practicing, they have to be in this order. And I'm like, okay, definitely don't want to change the order, because I had my own idea which one would be good order. And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, I believe you. I won't.
It's funny. And it's interesting because sometimes even when I'm painting, I'll put my paintbrush in a certain color and it's watercolor. And when it goes onto the paper, if it's not supposed to be that color, it won't come onto the paper. I mean, literally, then I know, it's not supposed to be that color.
Wow.
So even the colors of the paintings are chosen.
Mm-hmm.
And even the types of paintbrushes. I have, oh my gosh, I must have 30 or 40 different paintbrushes. I have 2 of them right here. And these paintbrushes, I know this sounds
Start
kind of
dancing
strange.
in the middle of the night. No, I'm just kidding.
They're more powerful than a sword. I mean, truly, because they create things that can create protection,
Mm-hmm.
and they can create things that can create beauty. It's just what's amazing to me, and I've never been an artist. I'm a lawyer, so I'm highly analytical. Although I'm left-handed, I've always been very creative, and I enjoy music. Although I've only took 4 years of lessons as a little girl for organ, so I'm by no stretch of the imagination a concert pianist or anything like that. But with painting, I believe that this medium was chosen because pictures are a universal language. And I think that we're at a time when God, or whoever your higher power is that you choose to believe in, wants to convey messages in a way that you will receive them and understand them. So we can cross all language barriers, all cultural barriers, all racial barriers, any type of barrier that you can think about, by just looking at a picture, and anyone can relate to it. And then it's your own interpretation of what it means to you. How does it speak to your heart? How does it speak to your soul? And how does it make you feel? What messages are you receiving? And that is what I think is most important about what I'm painting, is that it may mean one thing to me, but I hope it means something important to you, and something that gives you calm, or something that brings you love, or something that brings you joy, or something that brings you hope. That is the intent of these messages that are coming from higher up.
Now, what do you intend to do with all of these paintings? I know we did a show, an art show for you last summer.
Yeah.
It was wonderful, almost a year ago. But how do you think, you can showcase these paintings on a grander level? I know you've talked about a couple ideas. You've thought about the book?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I want to have a book, a hardcover book that people can look at. And the first book would have 81 paintings in it. And each painting would have a small message with it. So that message is intended to spark a thought or a hopeful message, something very short. As Gabriel has indicated, we live in a message of in a world of 160 characters or whatever it takes for
Right.
Twitter or whatever,
Yeah.
or 140, whatever it is. So I think that it has to be short for folks' attention span,
Right.
and just something that people can embrace. And then I think that I've started doing other things that can bring people joy. I've made pillows out of
Oh,
some
that's
of
right.
the
Yes, I have a
paintings.
pillow. I do.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've made some mugs out of it.
Yes. That's a great
I've
way
made a
to put it.
blanket out of it. So some of
Mhm.
these paintings, I think I could do placemats. There's a variety of
Absolutely.
things.
You
Um,
definitely should do that. And then with
yeah,
Denise, who was on our show, I think she was last week, and she's got her store that she's putting together also. And there are other stores like that, the Holy Shift, where,
yeah,
divine gifts and inspired gifts. So those types of shops would be perfect, uh,
yeah.
and others to get that out there. I just thought of that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, some beautiful scarves. I mean, there's
So,
an artist that I have bought some dresses from,
mhm,
depending on, because my
okay.
paintings are very, very bright.
Yeah.
I use a lot of bright colors. My darkest color that I use is indigo blue. I don't use whites or blacks generally. It's all bright colors, and so I think that it can bring a lot of joy to people.
So
So
with that being said, should we go ahead and bring in the paintings?
sure,
Let's do
sure.
that. So you've got your iPad. I want everybody to know she's has to flip it around. So we practice this. Don't get dizzy. She's got to change the camera view. There we go.
Okay,
Okay, very good.
okay. So, so this first painting is actually a painting. I was with Josie. We were in New York City together, and we were in St. Patrick's Cathedral, and it was the first time I went into the private Mary Chapel. And while I was in there, there was a mass going on in the main church. And as they were saying the act of contrition, all of a sudden I felt this incredible heaviness in my heart. I felt like I was having a heart attack. I didn't know what was happening. And I remembered praying to Mary in the chapel. And I heard these words, and her words were, "Just breathe." And I thought to myself, are you kidding me? I feel like I'm having a heart attack and you want me to just breathe. And she smiled back at
Sounds
me,
about right.
and she smiled back at me and she said, "Just breathe."
Yeah.
And I did. And I felt the weight lift from me. I felt relief. I felt joy. I felt all of that sorrow go away. And I think the lesson to learn is that whatever we need in a time of sorrow, in a time of anxiety, when we are in that storm, whatever that storm is for you, whether it is a tragedy in your own life, whether it is a loss, whether it's a loss of a job, a loss of a loved one, whatever that is, a health crisis, when your heart is aching, you can see this is like layers of hearts here,
Mhm.
that you can look to Mary, you can look to God or whatever and pray, but just breathe and
Mhm.
release it. What you need is inside of you. And
Yeah,
that's what this painting is. It's called Just Breathe.
beautiful.
And it was
Beautiful.
painted January of 2018.
Beautiful.
This second painting is it's called Walking in the Rain. This was actually I did in my class. I took a Park District class with my daughter Alexis. That's how I got interested in painting 4 years ago. And Carmelo Schifano was my art instructor for the first 3 years of my career. He was absolutely wonderful. I still talk to him and text him every day. I don't know if he's on listening, but I love him
I hope he
dearly.
is. Yeah.
And he's wonderful. And this painting was based on a painting that he shared with us. Mine's a little bit different the way I did it. But I think the beauty of this, besides being a really pretty landscape, is, you know, we get saddened by storms and rain, but I think we also have to look at rain is a sign of new beginnings for us.
Mhm.
It's a sign of washing away some of the old things. It's a sign of nurturing our earth and nurturing our souls. And look at how they're walking towards the light.
Mhm.
And there's light here all over in the painting.
Right.
There's obviously some sadness here going on. There's a couple, but there's also a third person there. So there's a lot in that painting about relationships, and maybe there's someone who didn't get the person that they wanted or something. It's, there's a lot in here.
Who knows?
But I think that we have to remember that sometimes the rain and the storms could be our blessings and our mercies in disguise, and they help us grow and help us get to the other side. So that's
Right.
what this painting is about.
Okay, that's beautiful.
The third one, this one, this was a true eye of the storm. As a Chicagoan, I had never experienced a hurricane in my entire life. And my husband and I celebrated our 25th anniversary in 2018. And so we went to Amelia Island. And when we went there in October, they were talking about some tropical storm brewing in the Atlantic. No one thought anything of it. Well, little did they know that Renee was arriving on Amelia Island. And once we did, of course, we had a Category 5 hurricane.
Wow.
And so we were in the middle of the storm, the eye of
So
the
you
storm.
were the eye. Wow.
But of course, what else would there be with the hurricane? I don't know if you all remember this one, but of course, it was Hurricane Michael. So Michael greeted me. It was a pretty amazing experience. I walked the beach. The winds were so powerful. The water, the waves. It was amazing to experience the power of Mother Nature.
Right.
And but I knew that I had the protection.
And you were in the
so
middle. Wow.
I was in the middle of it.
That's exactly our topic. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I was in the middle of it. And so I think what you have to remember is when you're in the middle of the storm, you have to have faith. And I had faith that we were going to be protected and that we would be fine. There was zero damage where we were 10, 15 miles away, complete damage.
Wow.
I mean, so it was it
That's
was an
why, again,
eye-opening
it's important.
experience. No
Yeah,
pun
that we
intended.
keep our faith. That's right.
Yeah, you got to keep your faith in it. But this is the painting that I did to remember that experience, and all the blues to remind me of Michael and his protection that he brought me.
Beautiful.
And then this one. This is called The Spiritual Awakening. This was a painting I did in August of 2018. And it's kind of interesting. I call him my modern day Gabriel, kind of a little bit, because he is kind of a like an angel looking, and he certainly is good looking. And let me tell you, Gabriel's very good looking. And so he's laughing, he's smiling right now.
Yeah.
And so
he says all the angels are beautiful.
And so this is an example where I was going through a magazine and I saw this man's eyes and I'm like, oh, this man has a beautiful soul. And so I took the face, and then from there I just painted the rest of it. And so that's an example of how when I'm looking through a magazine and when I see someone's eyes, their soul speaks to me, I then do the rest of the portrait. And so this was a spiritual awakening. So I don't know if this is someone that I am yet to meet or that is in my life now, but I don't know. But he is darn good looking, whoever he is. And
Sure
that's
is.
my modern day Gabriel.
Modern day Gabriel, right.
So this this was one of my newer paintings. When I moved downtown Chicago, um, our older daughter, I have two daughters, Alexis and Amanda. Amanda is going to be a sophomore at Belmont University. Very proud of her, straight A student, and she's pre-med. Alexis, I'm also very proud of her. She is a student at Gateway Center for Learning for Persons with Disabilities, and she also works at a nursing facility. And so we moved down here so Alexis could go to this special school to learn culinary schools. And so we're near Belmont Harbor. And so I had to find a new art school. And my new teacher, Tom Francisconi, is absolutely wonderful. He is a watercolor master. And so he, though, is teaching me like very technical skills. And one of the things that he wanted me to understand for the principles of design is that you really have to appreciate contrast. And I think that that's an important thing for us to understand too, when we're learning about darkness and light. So when you're encountering sadness, or when you're encountering darkness, or when you're encountering anxiety or the storm or whatever, sometimes we experience those things because we need to understand what they are as compared to the light.
Sure.
And know and recognize the light.
Right.
And when the two are together, that contrast is what really shows just how bright the light is. And when that was kind of explained to me, because I was always someone that avoided the dark, because I'm like, oh, I don't like the dark. No, I don't like the dark. Get that out of my painting. I'm like, I'm not a dark person. I don't want it in there. And he's like, Renee, but if you don't put that in there, he says, you're not going to see the sunlight hitting the water and you see that beautiful reflection. He says, we need that darkness. And so
Debbie says, without, I think she has a little saying that says, without your dark, you don't know your spark or something, or you can't find your spark. Yeah. She said that. Yeah. Without your dark, you don't know your spark.
So it's just, it's so important. And you even look up here, look at the sky. When you see how dark it is over here, it's so powerful to then see how beautiful the light is.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important message, is that there's going to be darkness in the world, and that we have to remember that you are the light, be the light, and shine your light on that darkness. And it will, and your light will be even brighter, because against that darkness, you will be bright. And I think that this painting is a really good example of it. The other thing that I think is kind of interesting about this one.
Renee, I think we lost. Oh, there you go. Okay. Renee, I think we were losing your connection a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, and then let me do my last two.
Okay. Let's see your last two.
This one is called Unlocking the Threefold Light. So some of you might be familiar with the threefold flame that they talk about may be within your heart. This is unlocking the threefold light. So the Christ light that actually helps give you that light within your heart. And the threefold light is the divine light of love, which is pink, the divine light of wisdom, which is yellow, and the divine light of protection, which is blue. And this light has been unlocked. And so it is there waiting for you. It is inside of you, and you have everything that you need. That's what this painting says.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And
Thank you.
then the last one is the powers of the lion. This one was done at the end of April, and there were 8 powers given to this lion, and that's why there's the 8 up there.
Mm.
And one of the key powers that this lion has is the power of love. I mean, obviously the lion is courageous, and the lion is supposed to lead, and there's a lot of different passages in the Bible that represent the lion. But what I think is most important is there's a variety of powers that have been given. Another power is the power of truth, but what is most important that I want you to walk away with is that this lion has the power of love, and that is the message that he wants you to know about. When I painted this lion, I was very conscious about not doing too many lines where he would look stern and mean and look like a Mufasa from Lion King.
Right.
I wanted him to look strong, but yet gentle and welcoming.
And that's what the lion is, right? I think the lion is known for their big hearts and love.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they do have that. Well, Renee, we're running a little short on time. I don't want to, but what I want to do, thank you so much for sharing those paintings. And before you go, I want to share with you, I think this is so interesting. I've been watching the comments from the side. So I wanted to give a couple minutes before we wrap it up about sharing some of the comments. Now, Louisa Davis is here, and she says hello. And, Louisa, thank you, Louisa. We love you for being here. She's a great friend. But I wanted to share this whole little series from Deborah Sharp. She looked at each one of your paintings and she gave a little bit of feedback. So I think this is pretty interesting. I'm just going to read them real quick and then but I think you'd enjoy this. Okay, so Deborah says, oh my God, that's so beautiful. This was what she started with, the first one. I see Mary overlooking the crucifixion of Jesus and knowing he is risen. That was the first painting. And the second one, I see growth in that painting of the couple in the rain, growth of the trees and growth of the couple's relationship. So she saw that clearly. She saw the next painting, the lighthouse reminds me of God. Let's see, the lighthouse reminds me of God's our life house in this. He's our life house in the storm. The God is our life house in the storm.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful? And then the next one, she said, I see the change of man as he finds his self-worth. So that was from the Gabriel, from the gentleman, from the awakenings. As soon as he finds he found his self-worth. And the next painting, she says that painting makes me think of the peace after the storm, the dark rocks representing the storm, and the water and the light beyond the peace. She says these are beautiful paintings, and thank you. So let's see. She says unlocking of the heart to release love to others. That's what she saw in the lion, and she said lay down beside the lion. So thank you so much, Deborah, for giving us the comments. That's so wonderful, and participating in tonight's show with Renee. Those are just beautiful insights, and that just gives an example of what you were talking about, how each painting has so much meaning. And I think that that may have given you a little bit of a different perspective on some of the paintings.
Yeah, I really appreciate those comments. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Renee, so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that was lovely. And I just, let's see here if I can pull you down. How do we do this? Let's see. How do we say goodbye to Renee? There we go. Sorry, guys. I'm still learning this. Okay. Now, there were a couple of questions that I did not answer earlier that I wanted to get to. I know there were some people, and some of the questions were really great. There was one here from Jim. Is it better to pause or better to push through the event? I have been a pusher most of my life. So the message that Gabriel's saying this evening, as he was speaking about being the calm in the storm, would be pause. Definitely to pause, because sometimes, when you're pushing and pushing, you're just pushing against a wall, and then you could even push yourself into the storm, and then you'll get stuck and caught up in the storm, could be. So what Gabriel's saying is to pause. Of course, they even teach that in recovery. So the best thing is to pause and to be calm. Sometimes when you push through the storm, you're actually pushing yourself into the storm. So that's a good way to think about it, is, don't want to really push into the storm. But we were saying about being calm in the eye of the storm and not giving it much energy and allowing it to dissipate. So again, the goal, I think, is for the storm to dissipate around us without it touching us. So I would say I wouldn't push against it, because at least you get caught up in it, and then who knows from there. Then, then you're in the middle of a storm. So, in the thick of it, it's just pause. And I know that's probably counterintuitive to most of us. We want to get involved. We want to push. We want, what we want. But again, some of the things from the past are not working for us today. They're, these things just don't work anymore. Those are past, thoughts. Those are past behaviors. And more than likely, we get these situations that come up in our life over and over again because we keep trying to do the same thing, right? We already know what that means, the definition of insanity. So, but we do it. We all do it all the time. And again, once we catch ourselves, it's just like, fine, switch, go. Just, go forward with our focus or with our pause, whatever it is, to switch, to try to switch that energy. So thank you for asking that question, Jim, about that. So that was definitely the answer for the pause or the push. we want to do that. Okay, so let's see. Today is, so we've got a few more minutes left. I don't know if anybody has any questions for the angels or for Gabriel. We will wrap things up in a few minutes. If not, it's hard for me to see the questions. So Deb, if you find any, just pop them up for the next few minutes. I just wanted to wrap up again and regroup for those who may not have been here in the beginning, to just reiterate that our topic is the calm in the storm, and as a reminder for this week, if you can try to focus on being the calm in your circle, being the calm in your home, being the calm with yourself, and let the storm dissipate. If there are storms, there are definitely storms currently out and about in the world. Nothing's making sense. But, that'll energetically sometimes pull into our life, our personal life. If we focus on the outer storms, then inner storms can start brewing. That's just how it goes. Law of attraction. It just kind of goes that way. So I think energetically, if we can be the calm and be the love during this time, we will energetically help raise the vibration of the planet and help raise the vibration of those around us. So it's taking it to another level when you think about raising the vibration with calm. And Gabriel says sometimes, being calm, we do more for the world than if we're involved in the chaos. That's for sure. He has said that. Here goes a question. What would Gabriel say when the storm seems so tough that it's hard to stay calm? That's a great question. So you take the breath. He says, just take the breath, and even thinking about the word calm. When he came up with the topic yesterday, the word calm was not even in my vocabulary, to be honest with you. So this is kind of a new word for me also this last couple of days. And the angels are encouraging us to do it, to embrace this word. So even by saying the word and contemplating the possibility of the calmness, I practiced over the last 2 days, and then I started feeling calm. I wasn't feeling the anxiety that I had been feeling, and it was hard to explain. It's almost like I didn't have thoughts going through my head, and I thought, what is this? I don't even have thoughts going through my head. And he said, that's the calm. So by even saying the word calm, practicing in a calm voice when you're speaking to your loved ones, to each other, so just bringing that word into the realm alone is very powerful. And then from there, you can, go, because times are tough, and that's the storm. So if you can imagine all those tough times dissipating, if we can get to that place of calm. And again, for me, this is a new idea as well. And it was perfect timing for this topic in my life. And it was definitely a surprise when he said that this was the topic. So you're not the only one. Thank you for asking the question, because I think a lot of us, that's not even a word that we are that's in our realm at the moment, which tells me that it's a word that we need in our realm even more. So thank you so much for the question. That's a great question, and that's exactly how I've been feeling about the calm. So let's see. The week's project then for everybody would be a reminder to just try to embrace the word calm and to be the love for those around you. And I know that many people talk about that. Gabriel says that, that people talk about calm and love and calm and love. Well, yeah, because, we're not getting the message. So we have to say it over and over, because I'm going, why do I keep repeating that word? Well, the angels want you to hear it. They keep saying it because they want you to hear it, and they want you to hear it again. So remember that when you feel that words are being repeated in your realm, just go with it and try to stay with your intuition this week. Connect with your intuition and connect with your eternal being. And we'll have our show next week on Thursday night at 7 o'clock, and we'll see what the topic is. I hope you can join our Tri Angels group, and we can stay in conversation there with any questions that you have, and you can reach me on Tri Angels. So thank you all for being part of our show tonight. And if we don't have any other questions, I just want to end with a blessing, and I want to end with love, and with, for those of you who are still here with us, to sleep with the angels, and that they will nurture you this evening, this night, and that you will be in peace throughout your dreams tonight. And you will feel that everything that has been spoken tonight is definitely possible through the angels. You just ask them, and they're there with you. Thank you so much. I love you. And we'll see you next week.